Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy episode 119 for the week of, August 13th, or August 12th. We're recording a day late. Sorry. 2013.
Don't be sorry.
I'm
Never
not sorry.
be sorry.
Yeah, you weren't sorry last week.
I blame Ryan Scott. My name's
I just
Ryan
wanted to keep it this way. I'm still petitioning so we can record on Tuesdays.
I talk to the boss. That's all I'm saying. Talk to the boss.
I am talking to my boss, technically.
Talk to the podcast's boss. So,
Geekbox Media Boss.
my name is Ryan Higgins, who is here with me this week.
Brock Sager.
Toby.
And Charlie.
What's happening, guys?
Not too much.
Stop reading comic books. We're recording
Never.
a podcast about
Never.
comic books. More important things. Talk about them. Don't read
No,
them.
I want Charlie to finish this so I can read it.
Never read comic books.
'Cause you only have, like,
Just
one
Just
copy.
talk about them like I do. No, don't actually read them.
Yeah.
What is Charlie reading?
I'm reading a Smallville comic at the moment, thank you.
Nice. I stopped reading them. I read about the first year's
stopped
worth.
reading them?
Yeah, I read about the first years, and it was cool. Like the first 10 issues, maybe, but I
It
just...
amuses me still.
Yeah, it's fun. It's just... I've got to cut back on a ton of stuff because I'm falling... I mean, I'm so far behind in the stuff I buy, and then I'm like starting to fall back on the stuff I read in the store, and that can't happen because that's even worse. So...
Well, the way I look at it is pretty much this. I wouldn't necessarily rush out to buy the trades or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I read it once.
If I don't want to read it for free, I should just put it back if I'm not. I'm like, Fables is different because Fables I catch up in big chunks. I should just read the trade, but I actually like that the books lay flat. That's why I don't read trade paperbacks.
Yeah.
Because I just put the comic book down flat and do things around it. You can't do that with a trade paperback.
Yeah, I like to read my books and not do anything else.
Toby, what are you reading?
Red Sonja #2 by Gail Simone.
Oh, getting a sneak on tomorrow's books.
Yeah.
Reviews
Well,
embargo.
that's what happens when you bring us into a comic shop on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Reviews embargo till tomorrow. But what's your Charlie? You guys wanted to talk about Red Sonja, didn't
Yes.
you?
Yeah, he did, and I'm always willing to talk.
Okay. I haven't
Always.
read #1 yet. How is it?
I enjoyed it.
I like Gail
It's fun.
Simone.
I mean, it doesn't set the world on fire or anything like that, but I mean, all I really demand of my comics is that they amuse me, and I'm more than happy to keep reading that book. So it's all good.
Nice.
Yeah, I read it. It wasn't bad. I'm not a big... Toby and I were talking... I visually know of Red Sonja more than anything else.
Yeah.
But no, it was okay. I mean, it didn't light a fire under me going, "Oh, I need to get the next issue." But it was okay.
Yeah, I read a couple years of the Kirby Conan stuff, but I fell off that. I read maybe the first year of Red Sonja when Dynamite launched it, and it was okay. I mean, I never read any of the old Marvel stuff. So it was cool, but I just don't know enough about Conan or Red Sonja. So, but I enjoyed it, and I mean, it's Gail Simone, so I got the first issue, so I'll keep reading them, or I will read them. So not keep reading them. That would imply I read the first one, which I haven't.
We know.
So it's in my pile. I read a bunch of Avengers today.
Oh, geez. And how bad did your brain hurt after that?
We'll talk about that next week. No late night Tuesday spoilers for Infinity #1 next week, guys. Next week, sorry. Embargo. We have a couple questions here, and then I don't know, not really much to talk about this week.
No,
we have a short podcast.
We have some shit to bitch about this week.
Oh, yeah, a little bit. Toby wanted to say something.
No, it's okay. No.
No,
Never mind.
go ahead.
No, it's
Talk
cool.
about Red Sonja.
No, it's cool.
Go.
No, it's fine.
Okay, we're fine. We're just not going to talk on this podcast. We're just going to
Yes.
sit in silence.
And it will be the best podcast ever.
Toby,
What?
Red Sonja, you like it? Not like it? What do you think?
It's all right.
Hit me up. Talk.
No, it's right.
You're like halfway through #2.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm on like 2 more pages and I'm done.
Okay.
No, it feels a little Cena and Callisto-ish for
Yeah.
the Cena watchers. To me, at least. I don't know where this is headed. So I'm a big Gail Simone follower. So
Yeah.
I actually really wanted to talk about this so that I would read it. It was more that if we're talking about
So
it,
if we assign it as homework,
Yeah,
then
no,
I'll
that's
actually do it.
Well, that's why I kept pushing for it. I was like, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Then I have to read it.
Well, the funny thing is when we assign homework, it's like half the podcast actually does it, which is like Charlie and me, and then the other half of the podcast, Toby sometimes does it, and Ryan, you rarely do it.
Look, what are you talking
Hey,
about?
I was pretty good. I got almost done with All-Star Superman.
Yeah, that's why I said you do a good job. Ryan,
I read Also Superman. I've read it like 4 times. In Clone, I had read 4 of the 5 issues prior to it.
but you didn't refresh.
I didn't refresh, but I flipped through it.
Yeah.
I didn't have a copy. We didn't have a copy in the store. We sold out. That's a good problem to have.
Oh, okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, we have a copy in the used trade section right now.
We do now. Now we have a couple copies on the shelf and one in the trade. So
There's even a used copy of Flashpoint back there now.
yeah. One of our guys brought us a bunch of stuff.
Nice.
I know I was checking it all out on Sunday, going, that's new. That's new.
Well, Toby, and when you finish that page, we'll go back to you on your thoughts of the first 2 issues.
Okay.
It was funny because one of the only things we're going to talk about this week is the Villains Month allocations, which we talked about last week. But there's more to
And
talk
then we
about.
got facts.
Right. However,
No, I wouldn't say we got facts. I say a bomb was dropped on retailers on Friday.
I got a question here from Jaden, who's actually one of our customers at the store. Who says, how do you guys think Superior Spider-Man is going to end? Now, I have to admit, holy shit, Superior Spider-Man is the funniest book I've ever read in my entire life. Yeah, I really like it now.
I do too.
Like, it took me a couple issues, but these last couple issues have been just insane. The whole,
it ever since they did this purging of the Peter Parker side, like, the Doc Ock side has just gone uber overdrive.
the whole
Spider
Trooper force or whatever,
Yeah.
and then them taking down Shadowland, and him just being like,
Yeah.
I'm going to destroy a city in J. Jonah Jameson. And
you're going to say you authorized
Right,
it.
exactly. And, that was an awesome issue. I've never been a huge Spider-Man fan. And he's cool. I like Spider-Man. Spider-Man's great. But I never bought Amazing on a regular basis, I should say. I've read it for 20 years, but it's never been one that, it's never been a character I kept. But Superior Spider-Man, I know I talked about Superior Foes of Spider-Man a couple podcasts ago, which is amazing. I love that
Second
book.
issue was still very good.
The Spider-Man team-up was actually a pretty good first issue. Congrats on Marvel for really trying something different with this, and it's working out pretty well. I'm really liking all the Superior books right now, and I went in thinking this is going to be the stupidest thing. But if you read Dan Slott's Twitter, he hears that a lot. He has a lot of replies of oh, I thought it was going to be dumb, and it was great. So if you've been if you miss Peter and you've been sort of I don't want to read this, give it a try.
I don't know. All I see is Spider-Man with arachnid legs coming out like he's Doc Ock, so I'm done.
I mean, that doesn't... it barely plays into it.
Yeah.
I think he has that for one issue or something. No, in the issue prior, he's in a giant spider mech with all these stormtroopers running around, spider troopers running around, and they take down Shadowland, and he's gonna kill... He's I'm going to kill...
Well, they full on went after he basically went to the raft and took control over it as they were shutting it down and got blackmail material on Jameson.
Yeah, he now owns the raft. The raft is now the Spider-Man cave.
Yeah.
It's the craziest, it's the funniest thing ever. It's so good.
So now anything he wants to do, he just kind of goes, and make my blackmail call, get it authorized, and now I get to go destroy half the city.
Yeah.
And the people will love me for it.
Right. No, it's fantastic. I'm really caught off guard by how good Superior Spider-Man is right now. So, and Jaden, to answer your question, how is it going to end? I don't know, and I kind of don't want it to end anytime soon.
Peter comes back.
I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, yeah, sure, of course Peter's going to come back, but how do they go about it? I mean, Dan Slott's been I'm not bringing Peter back anytime soon. I kind of believe him at this point because
the books are selling well, and as long as they're selling well,
it seems like it's ramping up maybe a little fast. So in that case, I think that maybe it is going to be sooner than later, maybe in the next year or two. Maybe around the time of a certain Amazing Spider-Man sequel. But because it's shit's hitting the fan. He's already taken down all the Sinister Six, or almost all the Sinister Six. I think Green Goblin's. Oh no, wait, is Green Goblin actually? Yeah, Green Goblin's been on the Sinister Six before. He's led it. He's kind of couldn't run it before, right? So it's really coming down to now Green Goblin is sort of controlling half this. He controls 51% of the crime.
I love the way they kind of have been using that with the Hobgoblin and stuff, just because the Green Goblin goes to this incredible length to kind of fly under the radar intentionally and build power.
Right.
And then the Hobgoblin's just kind of coasting on that.
Yeah. This is not... I can't remember which Hobgoblin this is. This isn't the original one. This is like the third or fourth one, right?
The way they handled this is the original Hobgoblin is basically...
Ned Leeds.
Yeah. Is basically playing a game of, okay, I will sell this sort of brand... So he's basically leasing out like the Hobgoblin brand to this guy, and the guy has to pay the original Hobgoblin a certain percentage. And,
Right.
And he's basically bartering villain identities at this point and getting a lot of money that way.
In 2009, the Hobgoblin was ranked as IGN as the 57th greatest comic book villain. Interesting. What do you know? Roderick... What the hell is it? Where the hell is Ned Leeds? Is like he's like no, it's not Ned Leeds. No, the original one's some other guy.
Well, a long time ago there was like that first reveal, and then years later went. Well, actually, he was
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of the guy who's actually supposed to be the first one now.
Okay, IGN, your 2009 article is wrong because I went to number 1. It's not the Joker, so you fail.
Who was number 1?
Actually, we could do this right now. Sure. We don't have a lot to talk about this week.
2009 list is what we're going to talk about?
Yeah, sure. IGN's 2009 top 10 villains of all time. This appears all Marvel and DC. So, I got the list here. Who wants in? Hit me. Who's number... Well, let's go. Just pick some numbers and I'll tell you.
Lex Luthor.
Yeah, Lex is in here somewhere. He's, I think, 3. Where is he? This is kind of a fucking click-ass bait list because you got to click every single one. Yeah, Lex is number 4.
Nice.
See, if it's going to make you click every single one...
It's fine.
Fine. Ra's al Ghul. Hit me up with Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah, I think I saw Ra's on here. Where is he? Yeah, man, this is actually the worst list ever.
2009, I'm going to say Norman Osborn.
He's not in the top 10, but Ra's is number 7.
See, everybody loves Ra's al Ghul.
Joker's got to be in the top.
Joker's number 2. Which Joker's always should be number 1. So who's number 1?
Is Doomsday on there?
Doomsday? No.
Number 1.
Doom is, though. Dr. Doom is number 3. So you got 2.
2009?
Yeah, you got 2 and 3. I mean, just in general, right?
Oh.
Magneto's number 1. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, it's because of X-Men movies.
Maybe. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. You know what's funny? Loki is number 8. I wonder if he'd be a lot higher now.
Yeah.
Because of the Avengers movie. Dark Phoenix is number 9. Kingpin number 10.
Who's 5?
Yeah, I agree with most of those. 7's Ra's al Ghul. 6 is Darkseid. And 5 is Galactus. I don't disagree. I don't really disagree with any of those. So, that's okay.
Yeah, and yes, that's how desperate we are for topics tonight.
Hobgoblin's one of those.
2009.
Hobgoblin's one of those characters that I just like. It's the most confusing. I hate. I just didn't follow so much of that Hobgoblin stuff. So
well, that's because they decide to retcon it every couple of years.
Yeah. All right, go on here from David on Twitter who asks, will you see Kick-Ass 2 and have you seen the first movie or read the books? I have not seen the first movie. I will not see the first movie. I read maybe the first 2 issues of the comic and went...
That's your favorite writer.
I know. We had a horrible conversation about this last night in the Geek Box, so don't listen to that episode and don't listen to a bunch of straight white men putting their foot in their mouth for about 45 minutes. It was just the worst, so I apologize in retro advance because it's...
What, you're talking about Kick-Ass?
Yeah.
In a racist kind of way?
No, just is awful.
I will not watch number 1. I will not watch number 2.
Did you read the
I read up until the point where they were driving around in the car and smoking weed, and I was like, I'm done.
I think I read the first 2
issues. It was like issue
Kick-Ass.
5 or something.
Yeah. Did you guys...
I've seen the first movie when it came out on DVD. Thank you, Netflix. I think I read the first book. I know I haven't read the second. I will see the second movie again when it appears on Netflix, and I can go, ooh, ah. But I don't have any intention to rush out to the theater to see it or anything like that.
Toby?
I watched and read the first one. I enjoyed reading it. I didn't care for the art because it was Romita Jr.
Yeah.
The movie I actually didn't like so much. I thought it was kind of boring and lame.
Yeah.
But the trailers for the second one actually have me kind of enthusiastic. I kind of like Hit Girl's the only thing that was fun about the first movie.
Yeah.
Having her, basically, this seems like it's more her movie now.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of intrigued. I didn't bother reading the second book. I actually didn't know it came out. Well, I knew the first issue came
They're on
out.
3, by the way.
Oh, well, they're on like the 4th volume because of the Hit Girl mini, too.
Oh, really? Well, here's the thing. When they came out with the Kick-Ass 2 miniseries, I thought 1 came out, 2 came out, and then I thought they didn't come out anymore. So I didn't know they actually finished it. So I'm curious. I have other movies I want to watch first, though.
I heard Jim Carrey doesn't, renounces his role in it. He doesn't want anything to do with it.
Got very sensitive to the level of violence because of real life events.
Yeah.
So he pretty much said, I'm not really comfortable with the level of violence
fine.
in this movie anymore.
Yeah, whatever.
And Mark Millar says that's great. That's just saying that movie is too bloody for people, so what are people going to do? They're going to go watch it, right?
Kids are going to go watch it.
Yeah.
We got a question here from TPPJ on Twitter. And this isn't a question because there's only one answer. What's your favorite Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale collaboration? And the answer is Long Halloween. I'm sorry if you like other books, but the answer is Long Halloween. The Marvel ones are fine. Dark Victory is fine. The 100 Nights are fine. But Long Halloween's the answer.
Yeah.
When in Rome.
Yeah.
Do you like When in Rome more than Long Halloween?
No, probably not, but I like When in Rome a lot.
I think we were just adding extra to the list.
I mean, maybe I'll give you the original Challengers of the Unknown miniseries if you're like a big Challengers
No,
fan.
I tell you which book is the one. It's the Gambit Wolverine book.
Oh, yeah. They did that, actually. Was that before?
That was like one of the first
Was that
collaborations.
before Long Halloween?
Oh, yeah. Way before.
I want to say Long Halloween was 98?
This is really early.
I was like 94, huh?
Yeah, this is really
Yeah,
early.
because the Challengers of the Unknown miniseries was like 89 or 90 maybe. And then they did...
I mean, was it Loeb that wrote that miniseries? Mm-hmm. I'm not actually sure. I knew Tim Sale drew it. The Gambit Wolverine.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale. I could look it up, and I'm pretty sure that was them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's good stuff. I have an email here. It was a nice big long email from Wes, but there's one part he wanted me to read. Thank you for the email, Wes.
And yes, we are actually reading an email.
Yeah. I'll do that occasionally.
Nice.
He said, if I had a question for on the air, what is your favorite superhero? I guess he says, what's your favorite character? But he talks about a lot of superhero stuff. So I guess any comic book character is fine. Doesn't have to be a superhero. But more than that, why?
I'm going to steal Charlie's character.
Is it the fact that you relate so much to him or her?
I'm going to steal Charlie's character.
Hold on. Is it the fact that you relate so much to him or her? Is he or her cool? Does a supporting character make the character? So instead of just being like, I like Wolverine, what's the actual reason behind it? Because we talk about our favorite characters or characters we like all the time, but there's got to be a little bit more behind it than just I like Charlie's. That Wolverine stabs people in the face. Okay, Toby, go ahead, steal Charlie's.
Doctor Who.
It's not a comic book character.
Oh,
Try again.
Shit. Okay, never mind. Go first.
Who's going? Who wants to jump on this?
Favorite character and how do I relate to him?
Yeah. Like why?
I like Geoforce because he's a gender like me.
Yeah.
Well, if I look down at my penis, it's the same hair like me.
Fire crotches.
Well, I mean, Geoforce to you is like my Nova or Speedball. It's like a small character that we are really fond for. But
so me liking Night Thrasher, I don't know what that says about me, really. Then.
Well, like these characters, what is it that originally maybe attracted you to the character? Was it just the book, or is it just cool? I mean, that's what he asked. So, Brock, I mean, gun to your head, is Geoforce kind of your favorite character?
Geoforce is my favorite character, but I think predominantly, Batman is more relatable. It's a character I have more things of.
Sure.
I think it's not necessarily Batman himself or Bruce Wayne. I think it's more of his world and the interaction with the villains and Gordon and Batgirl and all the people in that kind of universe where. It always seems like it's what Snyder did with Breaking Down the Family. It's these people were always in a family, but they didn't realize it.
Right. So
I think I relate to that because I like that sense of family that you can kind of get with the Bat books. So,
I mean, I know Toby, your favorite characters are the Bat family and not Batman. So,
Agreed.
I mean,
I was actually going to say that.
Yeah, is it kind of the same thing?
Yeah. Well. I mean, it kind of corresponds with my favorites, so probably like Nightwing and Oracle and Barbara. But it is kind of the Bat family. But I like Nightwing because he is not Batman. He has to deal with his father, per se, is the man, and he's trying to be his own and growing up to be his own, and kind of did it and succeeded in his own way. I kind of always like that storyline. Yeah. I like Oracle redefining herself and going on to do be Oracle. So I love that whole thing. I love the whole passing down the mantle thing, which with Cassie and Stephanie. I love that stuff. I love Damian coming in, being a little jerk off brat guy, and I just a guy that challenges Dick Grayson, a guy challenges Bruce Wayne. I kind of love that. And that's why I kind of crossed over to me into the Teen Titans love, especially the Jeff Johns run, the Superboy questioning his identity, the Dick Grayson. That's why I also like the Dick Grayson Outsiders, because he's like Batman, I'm gonna do this too. Yeah. So these will be my. I was perfect for me. It was like when Nightwing took over, and also when Teen Titans, when kind of Tim Drake was the team leader. Same thing. I like continuity, which why I haven't really embraced the New 52 yet, because I like the history of these storylines and what they hold. So, and on the Marvel side, I read a lot of Spider-Man over time, and I like my New Warriors and random characters, but I like Gambit because he's not Wolverine. Everybody was tugging on Wolverine, but I kind of like that, Gambit was not him. He was kind of more in the shadows and so on. But yeah, I kind of like the second tier characters in general, just because they're not the main guy. They kind of, in ways, do the dirty work. Like, watching the Bulls, I always like Rodman because he's the guy that goes, beats people up, and dies for balls. I kind of like the little guy on the side. So
I should actually ask. Well, Brock, so what's your favorite Marvel character? Since I figured we're all going to do DC or Marvel anyway, so let's just get this out of the way. Had about 10 minutes onto this podcast.
I'd honestly have to say my favorite Marvel character is probably Drax.
Really?
Yeah.
Sorry, it's really far back when I said that. Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because, cool. I read Spider-Man, I read Wolverine, I read Hulk, I read Fantastic Four, I read all these books, and all these characters, something that was entertaining and grabbed you, and it was like, oh, Wolverine's like every book, he must be awesome. But when I read Annihilation, that Drax mini really kind of stuck out in the fact that like his character goes through a transformation every time he kind of dies. And so it's kind of nice to have this character that, at one point or another, it can be one extreme or another. So that, and he's really buff with tats and blades and shit. So, but I really like Drax, and I think that that all the space stuff I think is where I think Marvel really shines for me.
Charlie,
it's the weirdest things in some ways that I kind of latch on to. Like, I was thinking about a lot of what we were talking about here, and I actually remembered, going back to Batman for a moment, I remember dreams from when I was a kid where, like, I'd uncover a secret passage that would go down. Like, just that kind of stuff has always sort of been in my head. Like, I'll be walking down the street and go, it'd be really cool right now if I had Spider-Man's powers, because I could be swinging down the, like, there's just something about certain characters. Like, I've literally had the most random thoughts of being like, I wouldn't even need a dog leash if I had Green Lantern's powers, because I could just summon one from the rig.
Why do I see Charlie doing that, just in general?
Charlie would.
Yeah.
It's just...
walk his dog with a Green Lantern rig.
A little rubber band attached to it that's green.
Who wouldn't?
Yeah. But I mean, that's...
Don't give Tony ideas right now. He's already thinking about it right now. He's like, ooh, wait a minute.
But I mean, that's... like, I think part of what gravitates me towards a lot of different characters is just that little spark of how awesome would it be to be them in a certain situation. I mean, like, even the Hulk, the idea of being able to lash out when you get really upset like that, and in some ways not even be responsible at that point, there's an appeal there. It's just the way it is. So
now, wouldn't that have been easier if it was just a doctor? Give me that one. That's extra credit. Because you could cover a lot of ground with that guy.
But, I mean, I think in general, most of the characters that I really have loved over the years, like Hulk and Batman and Spider-Man and Green Lantern and all that, really come down to just those little sparks of, wouldn't it be awesome if I...
Yeah. I mean, for me, everyone knows my Marvel love of the New Warriors. And a lot of that just has to do with being one of the earliest comics I read. They were teenagers, so that as almost a teenager was interesting and appealing. And you know, I'm sure it's what people that read the X-Men like in the 60s and 70s, kind of how they felt, you know, same deal. Because they were kind of a younger cast. And you know, not that I don't like, I mean, Avengers is probably like my more mainstream favorite. I just love the big group dynamic. I love the team. Avengers and JLA I've always enjoyed so much because of the group dynamics. To me, it's cool to see these characters working together because so many of them kind of end up running around as loners. DC-wise, I mean, there's so many DC characters I like and a lot of kind of more obscure, smaller characters like Animal Man or Adam Strange, Starfire, Teen Titans. But... some time ago, and I don't even realize that it happened, I think the Flash became my favorite comic book character. And I'm not really Barry Wally, you know.
It only has a little bit to do with Jeff Johns, right?
Honestly, only a little.
Really?
I mean, I was reading... Flash, to me, I think is the most consistent DC title post-Crisis on Infinite Earths. It really had... just years and years and years and years and years of some of the best creators in the industry working on it. Jeph Loeb, the early stuff, which is not the best, but it's good. It's not bad. It was like the New 52 stuff. It was a different take. It was, you know, Wally. I mean, Wally is my Flash, quote unquote. But I don't hate Barry like some Wally fans do. I would like Wally back, but I don't want to see Barry go at the expense. I'm fine with both. I'm fine with both of with both of them.
That's pretty much where I've always stood. Like I've always had a fondness for Barry, but I've always liked all the Wally stuff I've read, so I don't really want there to just be one. Yeah.
So for almost 200 issues, it's like maybe 180 issues. You had Mark Waid, the creative team of Grant Morrison and Mark Miller, when they were still co-writing together, and Jeff Johns on The Flash for like 15 years. Those three characters. So it is not just Jeff Johns. I mean, clearly he has a lot to do with it, but the consistently The Flash, I think, was the best DC book post-Crisis, longer than any other book. Very few fill-ins. Mark Waid and Jeff Johns had just incredible runs on that title. And then Grant Morrison and Mark Miller did some good fill-ins when needed, and it really got me to like The Flash on a level that it was almost like a couple of years ago where I realized, holy shit, I really, really love The Flash. It's like one of the few DC books that I have like a full collection of. Not all the way back to the Silver Age, but I do have a lot of those too. And I didn't quite realize I had that many. I mean, there are definitely better runs. Not necessarily better runs, but like the Giffen to Mattis Justice League, I really enjoy. But after they leave, that book just goes downhill. You know, the Grant Morrison stuff, it's afterwards. But The Flash is one of those books where it's just so good for so long. The character's fantastic. The powers are, if I had to choose powers, it would probably be Flash. You know, super speed to me is, you know, I love it. I feel like I'm always rushing around already, so that would help.
I've also noticed, like, the Flash book, I mean, I haven't read the Waid. I've read a couple of the Waid things, but not much of the Johns. But the stuff I have read...
Sacrilege. Sacrilege!
Wait, and I almost forgot possibly the best part of The Flash. The Rogues.
Oh, yeah.
I think
the Rogues are awesome.
I'm not going to besmirch Batman.
I mean, besides Batman and Spider-Man, who is the next
Batman
one?
Is number,
always Flash.
If Batman is number one, then Flash is number two.
No, by far.
Batman, that's hard. That's hard to reach. Batman's on his own level there with villains.
Yeah.
Flash is my number two. Over Spider-Man, over Superman, over the X-Men, over the Avengers.
Let's just say Superman doesn't really count in that.
Superman has some really... The problem is Superman has like
not memorable ones.
Superman and Spider-Man, I think, are in the kind of the same boat where they have 4 or 5 very good villains, like top of the like A+ villains, and then a huge drop after that.
There's a lot of not A-list villains, Spider-Man, but there's a lot of lower tier villains that I still really like with Spider-Man. I mean, it's not like I have a problem with the Lizard or the Scorpion or Rhino or Shocker or Electro or like.
Yeah,
there's just a lot of good, fun. Like,
I think Spider-Man and Superman fall into the trap of a couple really good villains and then a lot of mediocre villains, average to mediocre. And I'm not saying they're bad.
My thing is like I still get into necessarily a Lizard story or an Electro story or like. To me,
sure.
There's a big difference between like Spider-Man villains and Superman villains in the way that I agree with you. Superman, I can name certain villains that I really like, and then honestly, there's a ton of villains that he's had where I really don't give a crap.
Well,
when
after
they show
like
up.
Luthor, Zod, Brainiac, Bizarro, Cyborg, Superman, even Metallo and Mixoplex. I like them.
Toyman.
Again, those are characters that just aren't gonna ever hit. Spider-Man has, whether you like him or hate him, Venom. I mean, you can't discount Venom's popularity and what he did to that character. Obviously, the Green Goblin. I mean, I would think Doc Ock is one of the most important villains of all time just because of the success of that character. But see, Sandman was always mainline. You know, Doc Ock to me was always the number 2 Spider-Man villain next to Green Goblin.
No. I'm saying Sandman's in the topper tier. He's not necessarily. To me, he's more of a top tier than.
Yeah, I wouldn't. He's good. I mean, he's a good villain, but I wouldn't. But, whatever. Flash, anyway. Flash Rogues Gallery. Awesome. You think?
Well, I also like the way that the Rogues function as the Rogues to a degree. Like, there's...
Well, and
that's something kind of unique to the Flash in a lot of ways, too, because you kind of have the Sinister Six, but you always have sort of this sense of so-and-so's really the big bad, and these are the people he's kind of using.
Yeah. See, I think what sets the Rogues apart from everyone else is the personality and just the oomph of those characters to do what they do against a character like the Flash. Like, it's crazy that the people can still write them in such interesting ways, and it has to all come down with just their crazy personality and the way they're written. They are human. They are complete, with the exception of maybe Reverse Flash, who's not really a rogue, but the rogues themselves, Captain Cold, Captain Boomerang, Mirror Master, Trickster, all those guys, Weather Wizard, all those guys are just straight up just human. There's nothing super about them. That's a little bit different now, but
I was about to say, have you been reading
in their more traditional versions? And the Flash, in theory, is the most powerful superhuman of all time. So to make those characters interesting is a challenge that most creators have actually succeeded very well with.
Well, I think with Flash, they're always taking him back home. Like, it's about his family. It's about him being at home, him slowing down. Like, with Superman, it's never about that. It's about who's he going to save next. Whereas with Flash, it's always about slowing down, not going as fast. So
yeah, I mean, from at least the only rogue to really hit the Flash in his family has been Reverse Flash. Yeah. I mean, he killed Barry's wife. He killed Iris. He tried to kill
his mom.
That he tried to kill what's her name? Wally's girlfriend or Wally's wife, I guess. Or kill the babies. Yeah, so Reverse Flash has always been the one, but the rest of the Flashes, again, they're not villains out to get the Flash. They're just kind of robbing banks. They're just.
Yeah, I was about to say the rest of them are criminals.
They're criminals.
Flash is serial killers.
They're right. They're not super villains. They're not. They're not villains. They're criminals. And I think that is. Well, I mean, most supervillains are not criminals. They are villains. Yeah. And I think that's where Flash is an interesting dynamic.
I think that's why Batman has such a large gallery, because they're all criminals. Like they all.
But some have personal vendettas.
No, I know, but a lot of them are based on crime and activity and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think the Rogues Gallery are all a direct reflection of the hero. I mean, Flash, colorful, his Rogues Gallery kind of more colorful. Spider-Man being a bug, you got the Lizard, you got, Vulture, you got, all these animals, and Kraven, and then Batman being a darker character, of course, you can have darker and cooler.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to say cooler because I don't actually mean that they're cooler, but
Mr. Freeze,
darker, darker characters. Yeah.
Superman's villains tend to be aliens or world conquerors.
Yeah, so I mean they're a direct reflection of the hero itself. So
well, because it always comes down to and that's why I think Flash bucks the weird trend of. It would be weird. I mean, although it's happened 100 times, it would be weird to see Superman fight the Joker because it's on such a different level.
Yeah.
That doesn't. I mean, it works when he gets 1% of the power of Mr. Mixelplix.
Yeah.
Then it works. But when it's just Superman fighting the Joker, it's a weird thing that doesn't always play off properly. Whereas someone like Lex Luthor is on a completely different. Set of powers.
That's something they did really well in World's Finest and such. Is there's a certain level of this is something I actually really really like about like Flash's villains and that kind of stuff. Is you tell somebody one of my villains is Captain Boomerang, and everybody naturally assumes there's no real threat there, and that's again when you kind of pair Joker versus Superman. That first encounter is when Superman's not going to take the Joker very seriously. But yeah, you're right. In the second encounter, the third encounter, you kind of know what you're dealing with at that point.
Yeah, and same with Spider-Man, where the villains are definitely kind of this reflection of the hero. I think Flash is one of the rare ones where it's kind of it is different, and I think it bucks a trend of the traditional villain hero setup. Which I think is kind of makes sense.
I don't even remember why we got on this topic.
We were talking about favorite characters, and I was like, and the main reason I like the Flash so much is because the villains are the best. And even going back to the Flash rogues, short of our friend Gage and maybe myself and a few other people, I mean, none of the Flash rogues are A-list. Even Reverse Flash is B at best. I mean, he's a character so few people are aware of. But again, I think that's just why I like these characters, because they're so small. You have so much more play with them. You can cut off the Joker's face, but he's still really just the Joker. You can't do a ton to the Joker without destroying literally franchises and action figures and money and underoos and all this, movies and all this crap. Whereas the Rogues are, although to various degrees of success in the New 52, you can do whatever the hell you want to these characters and it's not going to affect anything. I am not a fan of powered Mr. Freeze or Captain Cold. I mean, but hey, we'll see where it goes.
Hey, he's got a cool Assassin's Creed looking hood.
Yeah, he does.
Well, I think that's why I also like my second tier characters, just because they're a little more free in ways.
Well, that's what I've always said about the New Warriors and Nova and Animal Man and Adam Strange. Exactly. You could do whatever the hell in Zatanna. You could do whatever the hell you want to these characters.
Yeah. I also actually I want to point out I really loved Captain America when he wasn't Captain America. When he was the U.S. agent with the black costume that Demolition Man gave him. I loved that run. I mean, I loved when he wasn't I loved the fact that he wasn't the main man anymore, and I loved the entire run. And same reason, because it was fresh. You don't know what's going on. It's kind of why Superior Spider-Man is doing so well now, because you don't know what's going on.
It's like
anything can go.
Spider-Man got the black costume. Wolverine changed.
Not a favorite of mine. Yeah.
And it's a lot of times when they take something traditional and change it, you can always go back, which is a great thing, but I like it that the comics aren't afraid of the change. I think that's one of the successes of the New 52. There's a lot of failures, but there's a lot of successes. Batman is... I love the Grant Morrison Batman, but this is on a understandable level that anyone could get into the current stuff. And I would say, there have been some great changes in the New 52 that I would hate to lose. There are some things that I would like back, but, progress sake, for if you will, move forward. So, yeah. Well, we got something to bitch about here. We'll bitch about this for a few minutes. See if anything else comes up. Last week, people were listening to this episode. They may recall we were talking at length about DC Comics was going to make, speaking of DC and villains, DC Comics was going to have some issues, no pun intended, with their Villains Month, which was the September shipping DC titles that are taking over for all the standard titles in the month. There's going to be all these 52 one-shots of various villains, including the Joker and Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy and, Reverse Flash and Zod and all these characters. what we were talking about last week was that we knew we would be getting some books shorted, but we were told we would be getting between 50 and 100%, roughly 100% of our order. So, and this doesn't just apply to us. This applies to actually every store in the country. So if you're interested in these titles, pay attention. What we were told was that order was going to go through, and we'd be able to get these non-special covers, so just a standard cover at $1 less. But we were told at this meeting, if you guys remember that retailer meeting I went to a number of months ago, basically all this information came out, but no one was really too worried about it. Then Friday hit. Even at 50%. I would be able to cover everything, even if I didn't have a ton of copies for the shelf, all the pre-orders, I kept my pre-order numbers up, everything. Okay. I'm not joking. I'll have to go pull out the exact timestamp, but Friday at what would be like 4:57 p.m. East Coast time, which is where DC's office is.
So 1:57 our time.
Yeah. So they sent out an email. Well, it actually went up on the Diamond website, and then they sent out an email that said, here are your allocations. So here are the amount of comics you're going to be getting for this Villains Month. And then they shut off their computer, turned off their phone lines, unplugged everything in the building, shut the lights off, locked the door, and walked out for the weekend. Because holy fuck, it is nothing like they said.
Yeah.
So they claim we're getting between 50 and 100% of our order. It's actually not true. We're getting between 50 and 100% of our order of the parent title. And what that means is that a book like Harley Quinn, I'll give you my numbers, for example. We ordered 150 copies of Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn is considered one of the books for Detective Comics. It's a Detective Comics 23.3, I believe. It may be 23.2. But basically, they're replacing all their standard titles with these villain books. So for tracking and record-keeping sake, the Harley Quinn book is actually considered an issue of Detective Comics. We got between 50 and 100% of our order of Detective Comics, which we normally order 40 copies of. Meaning, I got about 25 copies of Harley Quinn coming in, despite having about 30 or 32 pre-orders for it already, not to mention copies for the shelf. This was not ever said that it would be this level of trouble. I've taken a lot of pre-orders for these. I've had people pay me up front. I've had a lot of long-time standing subscribers. 4 of the 4 people sitting in this room right now want, if not full sets, at least a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. I want my Harley.
So we have a bit of a problem. In fact, every comic store in the country is going to have this problem. Now we can get this. We can get the standard versions, which are going to be $2.99 of these books.
Which you had to order the first week's worth today, right?
Yesterday. Yeah. So they are fully returnable. So if your comic book store is like,
so they gave you 3 days to decide.
Yeah, for the first week. Yeah.
What's good? And they give you 3 days to decide for the second print.
They did announce a full second print of all the covers. It's going to be like a little box set at $200, which is actually less than retail. So I mean that's okay. But they are second prints. I had a couple people order them, but I definitely didn't. I ordered a couple, but not many. Because most people don't even know about this, right? They're like, we announced this Friday, right before, at 5 p.m. Monday morning, it's all due. So it's like, who had time to even go over this? I mean, it's good because these books are returnable. The 2D covers, we can order as many as we want, return what we don't sell. We still have to pay for them up front. I've actually contacted DC and said, hey, eat a little bit of crow, cover us on these, and then charge us for what we don't return. That, I think, is a proper way to do it.
Yeah.
So we're not inconveniencing retailers, because now I'm going to have an extra couple $100 worth of, or a couple hundred comics at maybe $1,000 or so that I have to pay up front, which could possibly impact the store. Where I think this is a case where DC should be bending over graciously to make it up to us. So I thought I'd give you guys a little list here, just to kind of give you an idea of what we're dealing with here. And more than likely, your store that you go to, or your online dealer or whatever, will have a similar list. It may not be the exact same comics, but it'll probably be a lot of the same.
All the ratios are probably going to be very similar.
Well, that was one thing that I found really weird. Is I understand the idea of like the parent title thing, but I'm surprised they didn't like match up the numbers for. As we kind of talked about, like the Harley would kind of be more the Suicide Squad.
But the thing is, if they match the numbers with that, most stores,
It'd be even less.
It'd be even less.
Well, I'm not saying it wouldn't be even less. I just find it kind of weird that.
But it's funny because they actually did with Dial E. So Dial E is a Justice League title. However, they matched it or tried to beat your numbers for Dial E, which for most people is probably 10% of their Justice League numbers. Mm-hmm. So Dial E is going to be one that most stores are not going to have. The ones I will not have copies on the shelf, I will not have enough for subscribers, are this: Lobo, Dial E, Deadshot, Reverse Flash. Now, Reverse Flash being very weird because there's 3 Flash books. Why am I getting a lot of 2 but not a lot of Reverse Flash? That makes no sense. Ventriloquist, Mr. Freeze, Clayface, and Joker's Daughter being one of the new characters coming up from, I think she's tied in with Teen Titans. But I think she's actually in a Dark... I think she's... or maybe it's Dark Knight. Maybe it is Dark Knight because I think David finished
I think
the art for it.
Yeah, I think it's Dark Knight.
I have a weird question for you just because this is something that was brought up to me and I have no clue, but it's something I'm curious about. Do you think there was any sort of prioritizing with sort of like your Mile High and...
There better not have been. There will be hell to pay if Midtown has thousands of copies on their shelf at launch, because that's the only rationale I could see why you'd have fluctuating on Flash. While this is effed up, if people walk into Midtown and they have stacks of all of them on the shelf, because in theory the ratio should be similar. No one is selling. No store. I'm going to hazard a guess that very few, if any, stores are selling the Dial H comic in the numbers that they sell Justice League. Yeah. There possibly could be 1 or 2, but I'm going to hazard a guess that 99% of stores are not selling that many copies of Dial E. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. It's lower. Yeah. It's one of the lowest selling titles for DC. If somehow Midtown or Mile High or these guys have giant stacks of everything, that's very shady.
And not to mention the fact that we're forgetting about the stores that do their orders on FOC.
That is correct. Another retailer thing is that we have what's called the final order cutoff for FOC. I've mentioned this many times in the podcast, but in case you need a reminder, it is actually our last time to place an order for these titles. What's happening with the FOC is they actually took all the books off FOC, which possibly could be, if not illegal, at least against their own terms of service. And we are not. We can lower those numbers. We can't increase them because obviously we won't get them. But there's some wackiness with this, and not many. There are stores that place a placeholder copy of 1 on their FOC just to have a thing there, and then when they get up to order, because it's just usually a couple of weeks before the book ships, they go through and they put in their final numbers because technically it's supposed to be before print. They're, from what I understand, completely boned.
Yeah.
So I don't see how they're getting copies, and that's going to be a huge problem. This next list is a list of books that I will have, I would guess less than 10, in almost every case less than 5 copies, probably in most cases 1 or 2. I've actually decided to not put these books on the shelf because I have to cover damages or problems with inside the book.
Oh, yeah, not to mention Diamond might short you.
Diamond may short me. God knows there could be 1,000 problems going on with these. So these books, again, maybe 1 or 2 exceptions, but I will not have copies of these books on the shelf. Secret Society, being a Jeff Johns major Justice League title, probably the most important title in this, tying in with Fear
Trinity
itself and Trinity War. All right, Killer Frost, Shadow Thief, Black Manta, Ocean Master, Solomon Grundy, Grodd, The Rogues, Bizarro, Brainiac, Harley Quinn, Scarecrow, Relic, Mongol, and Black Hand.
Did you mention Hell on any of those lists?
No, but he's not on the list I'm getting a lot of either. He's actually in this weird 4th list that I didn't make, so you can extrapolate which ones, because I'll give you my 3rd list here in a second. Relic, which sucks because
it's the new villain for the Green Lantern book.
Yeah, Green Lantern
it's supposed
villain.
to be really important.
And Robert Venditti came out and said, "Hey, this book is very important." And it's like, well, I can't order them. I can't have them in stock. I mean, I'll have I'll have the 2D versions, sure, but most people are not looking for that version.
And in terms of the second print of the 3D covers, is it only available in the complete sets?
Yep. Yes.
That's what I thought.
And non-returnable too. But for some reason, there was a couple books that we're getting a shitload of copies of. We're getting almost 100% of my order of not of the parent title, but of what I ordered. Some of these, maybe I'm getting way too many, but I mean, whatever the cool cover is. I didn't order like 1,000 just to order 1,000. I ordered what I thought.
In hindsight, you probably should have.
It wouldn't have mattered. That's
really?
the problem. Yeah, I mean, there were stores reporting on Bleeding Cool. They got 5% of their order because they probably ordered 5,000 copies.
Oh my
right?
God.
Yeah.
Well, then begs the question: how did it do this?
Well, they did the allocation based on what your normal ordering
what you
For
know
the
is.
parent title.
Yeah,
right. In theory, but even that doesn't seem right. So these ones, I will have many copies on the shelf, and if there's books that have not been mentioned, I will have some copies on the shelf. Not as many as I would like, but some copies. That's Dark Side, Count Vertigo, which, funny enough, Count Vertigo got listed on Bleeding Cool as one of the ones that most stores aren't getting enough copies of. I'm getting my entire order of Count Vertigo.
Maybe
which
there's
you might be able to use to trade.
So
maybe there's some weird thing going on where some stores are getting some, others getting not.
No idea. Cyborg Superman, Zod, Lex Luthor, Parasite, Doomsday, Joker. Good. Again, not my full order, but a large portion of it. Riddler, Penguin, Bane, and Arcane. That's the Swamp Thing one. So I don't know what's up. And then again, if there's anything that has been mentioned, I'm not getting my entire order, but I'm not getting totally shafted on. I will have 10 to 20 maybe on the shelf.
I was here when you did the order, like you had the previews open. And
I was sweating.
And you asked me. You were like almost every single title. You're like, what should I order? What should I order?
I mean,
especially on the lower ones.
I was sweating balls for like a week on this.
Yeah, and it's like, and it was like, well, should I order this? But it's is this too high? And you were like, well, is this too low? And you were literally sitting there freaking out between what I think it was 60 titles was too low and 90 titles or 80 titles was too much.
60 was basically my low number, but 150 was my high number, which again for some stores.
But for the lower titles, you were like, 60's too low, but is 80 too high for these? Like, you were literally sitting there, like, trying to...
It didn't matter because I'm getting like 30 of all of them.
Exactly.
So, if you are interested in these books, I would recommend, one, going to your local comic shop every Wednesday in the month of September and seeing what they have available. My guess is going to be not very much. If for some reason your retailer is still taking pre-orders on these, confirm with them that they are aware of the number of comics they're actually getting, because you'd be surprised how many people have no idea about this stuff and don't follow it, don't check their Diamond accounts, don't read Bleeding Cool, don't read the emails from DC. So, confirm with them that they are actually getting this.
And if you're in New York and you're at Midtown and they have a shit ton of copies of these books, snap a picture and put it up on Bleeding Cool.
Send it to Bleeding Cool. Send it to me. We'll get word out very quickly. If you're in a store and they have 1,000 copies of Harley Quinn on the wall, I'll give you my store phone number. Call me.
Or 1,000 copies of Deadshot.
I want to talk to the owner and find out how they got these, because there's something fishy with this. And I mean, if you did pre-orders for it, confirm with your store that they've pulled their numbers for them, and that they're not going to fill your copies with 2D copies. For anyone that is personally ordered through myself, any of those, I think it's 8 books. The Lobo, Dial E, Deadshot, Reverse Flash, Ventriloquist, Mr. Freeze, Clayface, and Joker's Daughter. If you actually don't care and you want the 2D version, let me know, because I have more people that need those books. So if you did order those from me, don't take it away from yourself if you really want it. I'll figure something out, but if you don't care,
you'd be doing him a big favor.
If you want to save,
about those favors you're going to be doing.
If you want to save $52, you can if you can get all 2D covers. If you don't care about that cover, I'll save you $1 off the cover price on all those. So let me know.
Hey, you can sell sets of the 2D covers.
I did have a couple people ask about just getting sets or copies of the 2D covers of a lot of them. So I didn't get a set order for 2D covers, but I did have at least 2 people tell me, oh yeah, I'm fine with 2D covers. So
yeah, because I think that it really feels like this is you're allocated the variant, and the 2D covers is the real book.
Had they solicited this as, oh, here are some special variants you'll get some copies of, that'd be one thing. But this was always the thing. And what's funny is these are actually considered not variants, right? The 2D covers aren't reprints. They're not second prints. They're actually the original prints, because how a printing is determined is the interior.
Yeah.
The covers are all printed separately and then stapled on, because you have all the variant covers. So obviously they're not considered second prints. So the innards are getting printed at the same time as the 3D cover ones, because the 3D covers have already been manufactured. Now we're printing the insides.
Yeah.
So they're considered first prints, and in some cases, those 2D covers may be rarer than the 3D covers, especially on some bullshit books, like maybe Dialee or Count Vertigo or a few others that would normally be much lower ordered, because there's a good chance that very few stores ordered those. I mean, I'm ordering like a blanket 25 copies across the board. Yeah. I don't care. I mean, maybe like Harley I'll bump up more, but...
Well, are you going to bump up the ones you're shorted more?
No, because, again, some of them are only a copy or two, and again, Dial-E I don't expect to sell too many shelf copies of, but and especially not 2D. If it was 3D, I think more people will buy it just because, like, well, I'll grab one of everything on the shelf. But 2D, no. Well, that's all I have to say about that. Stupid comic books. How I hate them.
So stupid.
Anything we want to talk about? Anyone been watching Beware the Batman? I haven't. Anyone been watching Teen Titans Go?
I haven't watched the last episode of Beware the Batman, but I watched the first two.
Yeah, I watched the first two, too.
Long live Young Justice.
Guardians of the Galaxy teaser got...
The footage
footage that got leaked.
30 seconds of it got leaked online.
Yes.
Yeah. Everyone saw that?
Yeah.
Yes.
So 30 seconds of the Hall H Guardians of the Galaxy presentation from San Diego Comic-Con 2013 got leaked online. Not the whole thing, but enough of it. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Looks pretty cool. Rocket Raccoon.
Yep.
Looks like a badass. You kind of, I don't, like, you see Groot real briefly.
Yeah. Well, I think that you see him real briefly because it's...
Because CGI is expensive.
The effects aren't done, yeah.
Yeah, the effects aren't done. Like Rocket Raccoon, it's like they had to make the model of the character
was that
as
the money
fast as possible.
Was that like the demo shot?
Yeah, that was like
Probably.
with his teeth open, firing his gun.
That is pretty awesome, though.
Now, as long as he doesn't say, I murder you, I murder you, I murder you, over and over again in the movie, I think it'll be okay.
I'm assuming you guys all heard that Vin Diesel is now rumored to play Groot.
Well, he keeps hinting different things. So we'll see what he hints next week.
Yeah. Right. So, yeah, I think he may be able to say, I am Groot. I don't know if that's above him or not, but, we'll see.
I'm Groot.
Yeah. Maybe you can stammer that out. We'll see. I don't know. I'm just trying to get a rise out of Toby. No, Toby doesn't care. Huh?
What? What happened?
I'm saying Vin Diesel's kind of dumb.
Fuck you.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting for.
He's actually a big comic book fan.
I know he is. He is.
He would like to do things.
But he doesn't shop here, so.
Fuck that guy.
You never know. We do have his autograph on the ceiling over there.
Yeah.
Did he come in
Ken
like
got
for
that.
Riddick?
No, Ken got that for Riddick way back in the day.
Figures.
Yeah, he was a big fan. Yeah. The old owner of the store was a huge fan of Riddick, like when it first came out. Or was it Pitch Black, right?
Pitch Black. Pitch Black was okay. Like I never
saw any of
Pitch
those.
Black wasn't bad. I liked Riddick. I'm actually interested to probably watch the new one. Like even though they're kind of trying to combine Pitch Black and
if we
Riddick,
combine them, they'll be even better.
But no, I mean it wasn't they weren't bad movies. They were interesting.
All right,
It is what it is.
Wait, Riddick's were awesome.
Yeah, I liked them.
I was waiting for Toby to try.
Yeah,
We're sitting here waiting for you to chime
He's been
in.
distracted with reading whatever the hell he's reading.
Joe Madeira.
Yeah, some terrible Joe Mad Wolverine book.
No, Riddick was awesome. But I'm actually not as excited for a new one because trailer-wise, it looks like they're just redoing the first movie.
Yeah, it's weird.
But the whole point of the first movie was it was good people needing a bad guy to survive.
Yeah.
This seems like a bunch of jerk-offs needing
a bad guy,
a worse guy to survive. So I don't know if that works the same way. So, we'll see.
But it should.
Well, we'll see. The movie is not out yet, so who knows? Maybe it's a red herring trailer and it's going to be something else entirely.
Oh, can we say a farewell to Demon Knights on this podcast?
Last episode, or
Demon
last issue.
Kinniggets.
Last issue out this week.
Yeah.
Good book.
Good book that gets canceled by DC.
Yep.
Canceled a few of those. It's all good though. We'll get more.
As long as it gets a good ending, like that's one thing that I don't really care if a book gets canceled at this point. As long as it's got a good ending, so I can kind of go, okay, now this will be my nice little trade collection of this. This was awesome. It's now a mini series.
It's literally going to go on the top of the pile for me to read, and the second I read it, I'm going to like eBay the rest of them. Because
we'll get 2 more Batman books, so it's fine. Don't worry.
Yeah, 2 more Batman books. We need more Batman books.
That's what happens.
What? It's not just going to be Batman. They're going to have to combine Batman with somebody. So you have like Superman, Wonder Woman.
Batman and the Outsiders Incorporated.
Hey, just flipping through this Savage Wolverine Joe Mad book, I'm actually kind of surprised. I'm actually kind of digging the art on this. Because for a while there, he wasn't drawing backgrounds anymore, and it looks like he may actually be doing some of it again. Not a whole lot, but it looks like he's actually doing some work again. I know, side note.
I'm just looking at my shelf. I think Batman and Batman-related books take up 19 spots on my wall. And some of that is like double and triple stacking of like Batman and a few other titles having bigger stacks, but like multiple stacks on the shelf. But that's a lot of Batman books.
Yeah?
Yep.
People like them some Batman, apparently. Who knew?
Fuck, yes.
It's Batman and Bat Family.
Who knew? All right. We'll go ahead and wrap up here. An actual short episode for once. A real short episode for once. If you like this episode, you can go listen to all the other episodes at comicsconspiracy.biz or www.geekbox.net. There's 118 of them. So go listen to them and download them and have fun. Go on iTunes. Go rate us. Go say we're okay. 3
Bump our ranking on iTunes.
2 stars only. So
2 stars?
2 stars only. On iTunes, please.
Because when you say 5 stars, people give us 1.
Yeah, exactly.
If you hear me say 2, people give us at least 4.
All right, a little reverse psychology there.
Yeah.
I might have to take some of my words back and just realize who colored this book, and it's Steigerwald, who is famous for coloring Michael Turner.
Oh, really?
Who is also very famous for really finishing up
for
people's
doing
work.
most of the work.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Turner, I'm not to take anything away from him. He draws beautifully, but Steigerwald did a lot of the background.
Yeah.
Like filling in, making them full. And
I have seen some of his quote unquote original art, and it's like a pencil head.
I mean, Steigerwald
and the finished art is like this whole giant piece.
Yeah, I mean, they all can draw, but Steigerwald does a lot with his colors and backgrounds and stuff like that. So I was just like, oh, no wonder.
Yeah.
Like, this guy is pretty darn awesome.
Contact form, send us some emails there, or thecomicconspiracy@geekbox.net. You can send us an email there, and we'll read them on the podcast, maybe occasionally. 6 months after we get them.
Send Ryan lots more emails so we have more content for these slow weeks.
Forums at Geekbox. Well, we're recording on Tuesday, and I put up a thing on Twitter. We only got a few questions, which is fine. Forums at geekbox.net. You can go talk to us on there.
My friend asked a question. He didn't ask it.
Go talk to random.
Should be ashamed.
Go talk to random people in the forums. Digital.comicsconspiracy.biz. Go buy digital comics from us.
What does Bryce's book club do?
2-3 weeks.
It's still a while. Still a while away.
3 weeks.
Because we have like a weird layout of days this month. So we'll go a little while on that.
We did get copies in of X-Men Second Coming.
That is X-Men Second Coming is Bryce Larson's Comicspiracy Book Club pick of the month. So go read that, and we'll discuss that.
Is he saving his marriage right now? Is that what's going on?
He started a new job.
He started a new job. So we hope Omar is gone for a few weeks on vacation. Bryce is working a new job. But we'll worst case, we'll get him in here at least on that episode. Maybe just once a month now. Won't be every week or every other week. But that's fine.
That's okay. I'm sticking around.
People come and go.
Yeah, I'm sticking around.
And
no comment.
Don't forget to listen to all the other podcasts. The Geekbox, We Are the Comicspiracy, The Comedy Button, and Good Job Brain, as well as the All Talk podcast.
Can we change the name of this podcast to We Are the Comics Conspiracy?
Yeah, We Are the Comics Conspiracy.
We are. And that's all I got. All right.
We're all on Twitter.
Yeah, we're all on Twitter. I'm Ryan Higgins Ryan. I yell about infinity. Brock
8
Sager.
blank pages.
Brock Sager, Toby's Toby XI, Charlie's Insanity and Chaos, Bryce and Bryce's Larson Bryce. That's BRYCE. Comics and Dakine is Omar. You can go find them there. ConspiratorBrock.com, that's Brock's blog. ComicsandDakine.com, that is Omar's blog. The Infinite Longbox podcast is Charlie's podcast.
Yes.
I was just waiting. No. No.
No, for the comic book fans.
Yeah.
I may be starting second season soon.
Oh, nice. Of
Which,
the
for the Sue stuff. So
yeah,
I like how it's announced here.
Which
We
just
announce
means
everything
it's gonna
here.
Which just means it's gonna be done like 6 or 7 months from now. I'm saying I'm starting. So yeah.
Take your time, man.
Pre-production is starting.
Well, no, it's filmed. I just have other things to cut.
Yeah.
And that's it. We'll catch everyone next week.
Damn you, DC.